Now, honestly, it's just these things like taking hold, right? It's like we've done all the hard work for the facility. Now we just got to build it. You know, like we've got an incredible NIL program right now. Now it's just got to continue to grow and gain momentum and catch up from the head start that some of these other places have on us. You know, we've got a great defensive staff in right now, but you know, we got to let it take hold so we can go put the product on the field and we can go recruit at the level that we want to recruit. You know, we put in 2 great classes, but man, we want to get that to 4. We got a true, you know, real roster, real championship level roster that has the depth that it takes. So some of it is getting things in place, and then some of it is actually just those things taking hold. And then we're trending out of the get things in place, and we're trending more into this let these things take hold now. We really just were kind of enamored with the kid and his personality and just the quality of person he was, and just continue to progress from there.
How does that opener against LSU heighten training camp? And in the future, are matchups like that going to be a little bit tougher to schedule because of you're playing in an 18-team conference right now where you might play 3 or 4 top 10 teams on any given year?
Yeah, I think if the conferences stay the way they are, if the playoff stays the way that it is right now, then I think you'll see less and less of those, especially with us in the SEC. Just because our schedules are already going to be so good, at some point you're like, all right, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? In terms of playing these games, I think as competitors, we all want to play these games. Now, if and when the playoff shifts again, if you start talking about, you know, if something were to happen, let's say like, you know, guaranteed spots, you know, even more guaranteed spots in some of these conferences, all of that, then I think it could lend itself to these games being back and more prevalent, which would be good for the game because, I mean, games like this are awesome.
Is that why the Ole Miss series got canceled?
Say it again.
Is that why the Ole Miss series got canceled?
To my knowledge, yes. Yeah, that was kind of in the works for a while, but I mean, you know, you got a responsibility to what do you think is going to put you in the best position to do it. And I mean, we probably have just about as good argument as anybody in college football because, you know, we've got a yearly game against, you know, a good opponent in Notre Dame along with this schedule. So it was, but I mean, the hard thing right now is with all this scheduling is you're having to make scheduling decisions so many years in advance, but then all this is changing and you're not exactly sure what system that you're scheduling for, which is a challenge.
When that series gets canceled, Lincoln, and then Joe Castiglione says that you don't want to stay there to play in the SEC.
I'm not getting into that. Next question.
Coach, a lot of talk about the weather environments, USC coming from Southern California to the Big Ten Conference. Does that really make a difference? I mean, USC plays in 110 degrees in Arizona. They can go to Colorado. They can go to the Northwest where it's cold. How much is this weather going to factor into these things?
I've never felt like it was that much of a factor. I mean, done the snow games and all the other stuff. Now, I'm not saying if you don't get one like, was it Ohio State, maybe Northwestern, maybe that's what I was last year with a wind. But yeah, I mean, now listen, that don't matter where you play. That's going to be a challenge no matter what. Or if you get a driving rainstorm or you're playing a blizzard or whatever. But yeah, sure, if you get the crazy extremes, that's going to be different for everybody and everybody's going to have to adjust. You got to go do it. We got to go prove it. But I feel like football players go play. I think that's more of an inconvenience for fans than it is for players.
Again, when you look at the defensive line, bringing quite elevating offensive line, and you guys pretty much did that. A lot of young guys now. How do you evaluate where you guys are at and line of scrimmage heading into the Big Ten readiness to compete there?
Yeah, I think it's just a sign for us that we feel like a lot of the players that we've recruited and developed over the last few years are ready to play. And at some point as a program, you got to decide, you got enough confidence in the guys you've been recruiting or developing, or are you just going to keep going portal? And that's, as I've told you guys, long term, that's not what I want to be. I want to use the portal here and there, but I want us to be a developmental program and, certainly the lines of scrimmage and not going very portal heavy at all, really on either one, I think show that we're, doubling down on that notion.
Lincoln, the general manager role in college football is seemingly grown a lot and is continuing to grow. With revenue sharing on the horizon, with NIL still uncertain, How big do you feel like that role will be in the future, and how have you evaluated where Dave Emmerich has been in just sort of navigating those landscape changes?
Yeah, everybody's gonna, everybody has, and then everybody will use that role differently, coming forward. And it's not you're going forward. It's not just going to be a GM. I mean, you're talking about, there's going to be significant staff changes all across college football to get ready for revenue sharing and salary caps. And I mean, it's very much going towards a very professional model from a staff standpoint. Everybody's going to do it in their own way, but that part's going to be important. I think Dave's done a really good job. He's worked hand in hand with our collective, and I know we've already talked off to the side. I mean, which is our collective has made a massive jump. I mean, again, starting from 0.00 when we got there to now, he's done a great job with that. Dave played a prominent role in hiring this defensive staff that everybody's giddy about right now, and has helped us put together really that group and done an outstanding job. He's done a lot of things behind the scenes with our new facility, and I think certainly his role is going to evolve going forward, as is really the rest of that department for us.
Lincoln, your first Big Ten game is in Ann Arbor at Michigan. What are your expectations of opening your Big Ten play that way, and how much of a stylistic change is that compared to maybe what you're used to seeing when you open up?
Yeah, we're looking forward to the game. I haven't had a chance to coach in many Big Ten venues. I think just Ohio State, my first year, we got to go there the second game, which was fun, and this will be another fun one. So yeah, I think just the college football fan in me, it's pretty damn cool that USC and Michigan are opening up the new Big Ten, and to me, no surprise that the Big Ten would pick those two schools and brands to kind of kick this thing off. So I think that's awesome. The coach in me is it's going to be great to go compete against a really good football team, and I've always loved coaching on the road, so perfect way to be introduced to the Big Ten.
How was the process of off-season scouting different this year, given that you have all new opponents to kind of get familiar with, and you've done different things to kind of get to speed?
Yeah, we have. We've, because we're obviously getting a new defensive staff up to speed, not only on obviously our people, but then everybody else that we're playing. We've got some teams coming up that had some pretty significant coaching changes. So in some ways you're studying, personnel that other people have versus, maybe this coach coached at this place or at that place. So you've got to certainly take that into account. Yeah, it's been good. We've had a lot of time to familiarize ourselves with the league. The teams that are upcoming, starting to project what we're going to see and what we're going to want to be able to do. And I would say those projects this year have probably been a little bit more extensive in the past, just because of all the new changes, new opponents.
Lincoln with a different role, but with Chip Kelly being a play caller in the Big Ten, what do you kind of think of what his offense can look like in the Big Ten, and if he could succeed?
Oh yeah, for sure he can succeed. He's a really good coach. Chip's a good friend. I know he's looking forward to that opportunity, and he's got a bunch of good players there, and it'll be, he and Ryan will have to go coexist, which that'll be fun, and they'll do a good job. And I know they've got history, so we've laughed about that a little bit, but no, I think he'll do a really good job. Like I said, Chip's obviously had a great offensive history throughout his past, and I know he's looking forward to the challenge.
Specifically, what will he bring to that table, Lincoln? A little bit more emphasis on the running game. Having coached against him for a couple of years, what do you think he'll specifically bring, Chip?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to profess myself as an expert on what they were doing before, but Chip's really creative. He's really creative in the running game and in the passing game, and it has always been that way. So his ability to do both and marry him up, I'm sure will show up there.
Like, I haven't seen what Denton Lynn did last year at UCLA. What would be considered a success for the defense this year?
Well, I expect that we'll make a big jump. I do. Now, can you do you sit there and say, oh, it's not a success if we don't jump, 80 spots in the rankings or whatever that they did there? I don't know that I'd want to put a number on it, but I mean, I want it to look and feel, and I want us to play, a lot different. And I think much closer to our capabilities. I mean, that's the thing to me is you have in your mind, all right, this is what we have. This is kind of what we feel like the level we can play at. And are we playing to a level that's that or close to that and doing it consistently the way the guys are playing? Does that show up? Are we making improvements throughout the year? Are our guys developing? And if that happens, then the numbers tend to take care of themselves.
Lincoln, you've been in the
tried pretty hard to establish a consistent football in the South, particularly defensively the last couple of years. What has been the process of that, and how do you kind of maintain that fight with, SEC schools, Big Ten schools? What's the process like?
Yeah, we've tried not to, overthink too much of where these players are at. If they've got legitimate interest and we feel like they're the right type of fit for our school and for our program, then we're going to go recruit them. And we all have a lot of Texas, or a lot of us have a lot of Texas ties, and a lot of ends there. And so we've tried to take advantage of that. We've been able to bring a lot of really good players to USC from Texas and those other states. And so. And kind of like to the question earlier, I mean, you're going to battle schools no matter where you go, right? There's not like an area that you're, whether close to home or away from home, that you're not going to battle other people. And so I don't really get too concerned about who we're going to battle. To me, it's more about finding the right fits, and then let's go after them.
Lincoln, you've been in the Big 12, you've been in the Pac-12. I think I've got most of them. What are you expecting the biggest difference now joining the Big 10? Either style of play, or are you going to find out?
Yeah, probably in some ways we'll find out a little. I mean, I think compared to the Pac-12, I mean, I think the road venues are going to consistently be better. And I mean, I think you're talking about just a deeper, more talented, more good teams in terms of conference. Now, you're not playing everybody, so some of that gets offset a little bit. But yeah, you're talking about a real high quality conference that, I mean, year in and year out is, you go win this conference, you're probably one of the best 1, 2, or 3 teams in the country. I mean, right? Like it's going to take that every single year to win this thing, which is cool, man. That's what you want to be.
Is there a concern with your offense having to go perhaps to some cold weather sites that historically you've gone to some, but not maybe as many as you may encounter in this league?
Yeah, we'll see. It typically translated well. We had a lot of big games, when we were at OU, at, West Virginia, and a bunch of those through the year, played in some snow games, and we I'll go back and look. Our November record was pretty solid. So yeah, I believe what we do translates anywhere.
Lincoln, with the playoff expanding.
What's the biggest challenge an offensive coordinator and play caller and a head coach on game day?
Game day, honestly, I don't really feel like that much on game day. Like I've gotten used to it enough. I've been able to compartmentalize it. I mean, so I guess sometimes at times on game day I couldn't be 2 places at once. That's part of the shift of one of the thoughts and why we made Luke Heward the quarterback coach. He's taken over a lot of the day-to-day stuff there. For me, is to have somebody consistently there. But I think it's probably more during the week. It's more trying to prepare, but do all the other things that you have to do. So I mean, your time management is important. And if you're going to do it, the thing I've learned, not that I've done it great, but like you have to build a staff that allows you to do it. Like their strengths and what they can do have to complement you as a head coach, and vice versa. And you got to make it all in sync. And so, and not just the coaching staff, the support staff, everyone. And so, I think me doing that has been an advantage for us, I would say, and so I've tried to find a way to maintain that with not sacrificing other parts of the program, and doing anything that I need to do to make myself more readily available, like the change this year. I just want to win, so whatever I got to do that, that's what I'm going to do. If you get in a position where you got to make a decision on what's best for SC to help us win a national championship versus keeping that, shoot, then you got to look at it. I mean, and listen, we're not the first example of that. Look all the way across the country. There's been a lot of other teams sacrifice rivalry games. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but as we get into this playoff structure, and if it changes not, we in this new conference, like we're going to learn some about this as we go, and what the right and the best track is, to winning a national championship. Like that's going to evolve. Bama was ahead of the curve for years, I thought, on how they scheduled in the non-conference, right? They would occasionally hit the marquee non-conference game. They'd play two other, not very good teams. They'd play one late so that they got essentially a little bit of a bye week right there late in the season when season's been going on, you're a little beat up. Like, they didn't schedule for their fans. Like, they scheduled to win championships. And so my hope is we can do the best thing, schedule to win championships, and that includes a rivalry game that, for all that comes with that and all that it means. But if you get in those positions, you got to make a decision on what the priority is. And yeah, it's not an easy answer.
How do you think or hope the committee evaluates that, in the sense of you're playing 9 league games plus 2 power non-conference games? The SEC's playing 8, 9-3, 8-4. I mean, do you hope the committee, or what do you expect the committee to really? I feel like they were conditioned to look at the loss column and that's it.
Well, in the past they have been. There's no question. Losses, no matter who they're to, have outweighed anything else, and history has told us that. Now that you have two, super conferences or whatever you want to call these two, you got 2 conferences that are way out front of everybody else right now. All right, and there's going to have to be a shift in thinking. Like there has to be, or it won't work. And so, how much value do they place on the 9th game? How much value do they place on playing, Notre Dame versus, some directional school, right? Like it's gonna have a big impact on how we all schedule in the future. So, if they want these matchups, then they need to value them accordingly.